Hi, Paige. It's Miss Strother, and welcome to the screencast of your final exam project essay draft. I wanted to first tell you that I was really proud. You've got so many different paragraphs in here, and I was a little bit concerned because you haven't had quite enough time in class to write. I wanted to show you too. I can see that you have added on to it, which is great. That means you're working on it outside of class. So I just wanted you to know how proud I am of you and your work. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take this and put it into Word, just because there are a couple of things that are easier to show you in Word, and then I don't mess up your essay or your document. But the first thing I did was I took out this extra space here. But you have a beautiful heading here and a title. It could be a little more creative. You're pretty creative and interesting. So try to get a more interesting title. But otherwise, that's good. So what I'm going to do is go through. I can see you are here correctly citing, I suppose that's the best word, the pieces of literature you're using. So masks is in quotation marks, so is Taco Head. You would do the same for Superman and Me. Make sure you're doing that. And make sure you're doing the same thing for Thank You Ma'am. They should all have quotation marks around them. Since you're not using any longer works, if you are using the Odyssey, if you are using your Lit Circles book, so the Sanders Cisneros one, then you would put those in italics. But since these are all short stories, they go in quotation marks. The other thing is you want to put the comments on the inside of your quotation marks. Same thing for these. And make sure you're capitalizing this. Capitalize it. Okay? But don't capitalize theme. Cool. Okay, I'm going to just go through real quick. I can see you are doing your parenthetical in-text citations beautifully. This I think we're going to fix. We're going to work on that a little bit. I see parenthetical in-text citations. All good, all good. You want to stick with one tense of your verbs, either present tense or past tense. Just pick one. Stay with that. Let's work on this. You want to fix that. Make sure you put the parenthetical on the outside, and here put the period on the outside of the parenthetical. Okay, so almost there. Almost there. And I don't see a works cited list just yet, so make sure you work on that. We've done that before, so you should know how to go to EasyBib and such to go ahead and fix that. Okay, tries, should be tries. Make sure you're working on that. I see that you have some contractions, so make sure you fix all of those. Okay, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you your introduction, one body paragraph, and conclusion as time allows, so that you can hear how it sounds in someone else's head, and then also so you can get feedback directly from me on how you can make those paragraphs better. So here we go. The theme of challenges and obstacles has an impact on literature. So you immediately put your argument, which is something that you do when you're writing a history paper, but not when you're writing an English paper. So go back to that yellow sheet, or you can find it on Blackboard. It's the introduction planner, and start with something that interests you. Why did you decide to do challenges and obstacles? And most of the time you can come up with something specific that was the reason why you decided to do challenges and obstacles for your essay. And then you can go and take that and kind of extrapolate into something that readers are all interested in. So readers love to read about the obstacles that characters go through and how they manage to survive them, or how they manage to overcome those obstacles. Something like that would be a good intro sentence for your essay. Okay, you could say, I'm going to move on. It is a common theme in all literature and gives us insight into universal conflicts. So instead of saying us, because that is a personal pronoun, in this case, you want to go ahead and say it gives readers insight into universal conflicts. A challenge or obstacle is something that gets in the way of progress. Fabulous. I'm going to put down that you did your definition. Okay. A Challenger Obstacle, okay. Masks by Lucy Greeley, Taco Head by Viola Canales, Superman and Me by Sherman Alexie, and Thank You Ma'am by Langston Hughes are all short stories that display this theme. That's fine. A Challenger Obstacle isn't, so change that to is not. Always another person or thing, semicolon. Sometimes you will find that it is a person fighting who they are. What do you mean? What do you mean? That sounds so good. What do you mean? The theme of challenges and obstacles affects the characters in Masks, Taco Head, Superman and Me, and Thank You Ma'am. Beautiful. Now, one thing you're going to do to add on to your introduction, to fulfill all the requirements on that yellow page for an introduction, but also to extend your essay, so you're getting those 5 to 7 pages, you're going to give me right here, right in this space, one sentence for each story. You're actually going to introduce the story. So, something like this. Masks, comma, by Lucy Greeley is an excerpt from her autobiography. Oops, I have an excerpt from her autobiography that focuses primarily on her childhood battles with cancer and bullies. So that's one thing that you could do as a sentence about masks. So now give me one for each of the other 3 stories that you're using. And great job using 4. They're all short stories, but that will be great. So put them all in there. Okay. So let's move on to your first body paragraph. The theme of, we should fix that, the theme of challenges and obstacles affects, with an A, in this case, the characters in Masks. And again, your period here is going to be inside your quotation marks because it's just the way we do it. Lucy Greeley was a young girl who got cancer and it deformed her face. Cancer causes her to become ugly and affects her self-esteem. Affects, done correctly. Very nice. Other kids constantly tormented her, saying things like, oops, comma here, "What on earth is that? And that is the ugliest thing I have ever seen." Typically, you want to capitalize that, so check the story. If there's something before it that makes it so that you don't think you should capitalize it, make sure you've got those ellipses, which are the ... in front of it. But that's good. That's good. If you capitalize those, that looks good. Halloween becomes her favorite day of the year because when she could wear a mask to cover her face, she felt normal. Okay, so what you have done here is you have fully introduced your quotation, this first one that you have here, or the 2 together, which works just fine. You fully have introduced them, but now you need to analyze them. So this is actually an analytical essay, and that is so much more important than either the quotations or the introduction. So that background information leading up to the quotation, the analysis is the most important. If you look on your rubric, the vast majority of points, I'd say over a third, maybe a half of the points, are related to having the quotations and having your analysis of the quotations. So here is the part. So analysis is strictly, how do challenges and obstacles affect the characters? That's it. How does these challenges, these bullies that she faces and the things that they say to her and at her, how does that affect her? It makes her kind of crawl into herself, right? It makes her more shy. It makes her less willing to talk to people. It makes her want to go and eat her lunch in the counselor's office. That's one way it affects her, but it doesn't give her any confidence. It clearly reduces her confidence. And one of the things you're going to say when you start talking about Halloween is how she felt normal, but she realized how little confidence she had because of things like this, because of the things that other people were saying. So talk about those kinds of things. Specifically use these words, challenges and obstacles, and affects, and you could say Lucy, how it affects Lucy. Be explicit in your analysis. So just because of timing, I'm going to move on, but I can see that that's the thing you want to focus on for all of these quotations. This is some more narrative. So less narrative meaning telling the story, or actually just keep where you have it. You have a good amount. You have a perfect amount of narrative, and your quotations are good. They're effective. That's exactly what you want to say, and you're using them in such a way that really supports your argument. Now what you need to do is analyze them. Say how they fit your thesis. Kind of pretend that you're writing to someone who's going to read it who's not yet as intelligent as you. These things are clear to you. They're very obvious to you and to me how they fit the thesis, but you've got to explicitly say that in order to get the points for the analysis. Okay, and again, be careful of your contractions and such. So I'm going to go to your conclusion. Don't worry, I will read through your other paragraphs, but I only have 15 minutes on the screencast. Okay, here we are. The theme of challenges and obstacles affects the characters in Masks. Fix those commas where they go. Taco Head, same thing with Superman and Me, you need quotation marks, and Thank You Ma'am, you need quotation marks as well. Other than challenges and obstacles, usually we have a comma for like a slight pause. All these stories, let's get out all, have a common theme of self-acceptance. Ooh, that's new and different. Maybe like self-acceptance over time, or learning how to accept yourself, because that's beautiful. You haven't talked about that yet. In Masks, comma here, Cancer presents many challenges, but maybe instead of saying she, because you're doing a conclusion, maybe you could say Lucy. But Lucy has accepted what it has done to her and tries to not let what people say bother her. Cool. In Taco Head, who's she? In Taco Head, Sophia needs help from a teacher to realize it. But she learns that she likes tacos and does not care what other people eat. Let's fix that. In Superman and Me, again, quotation marks, comma in the middle. Who's he? Sherman Alexie was more intelligent than, I think you're trying to say, than other kids, and that is normally thought of as a good thing, comma. But in this case, it was not. Maybe we could do it like this. Was not, semicolon. His culture was a challenge, comma, but he overcame it. And Thank You Ma'am, again, quotation marks. Who's he? That would be Roger. Overcomes poverty by learning that stealing is not the way to get what you want. Beautiful! You have given one piece of evidence from each of your stories, and you're reminding your reader of the most intelligent and powerful things that you said in your body paragraphs. Now you need one last sentence here to really connect all of these stories and the themes, the challenges you've been talking about, connecting that back to our everyday lives. So work on that. Make sure you've got that last sentence to kind of connect, pull everything together. But otherwise, it looks like you're on the right track. Make those minor edits that I talked about at the beginning. Focus on that analysis piece so you can get lots and lots more points than you're getting on this right now. And come see me if you have any questions. So congratulations on finishing your draft, and I look forward to seeing your edits.